past the halfway point of season 2 and a new favorite episode for me this time around. So take a journey with me as I watch through Star Wars Rebels for the first time. Well, hello there. My name is Jeremy and welcome back one more time to Freeform Disney. Now, quick announcement before launching in, and hey, that is that it is about time for live streams again. And by about time, really quick. So yay! That means I'm going to be covering the final 6 episodes of season 2 across 2 different live streams. And I'm also going to be doing a character ranking, and I'll be doing that live also. And in case that wasn't enough, on a different Star Wars front, I'm going to be playing Star Wars Squadrons for the first time, as was voted on recently by my patrons, and so I'm going to be doing that live with all of you too. Now, the Rebels live streams are going to go ahead and be the usual Sunday at noon Pacific Standard Time, starting, well, actually tomorrow, Sunday, so really quickly right there. And Star Wars Squadrons is also going to be a noon Pacific Standard Time thing, and I'm going to start that up here on Tuesday. So that is coming up just this Tuesday. Now, noon Pacific Standard Time is 8 p.m. UTC or London time, so hopefully that helps a little bit. But anyway, hey, there you go. Lots of live streams coming up. I'm looking forward to all of that. And with all of that out of the way, onward to more Rebels. It's time to dive on in. Episode 13 of Season 2, The Protector of Concord Dawn. Now, I've got to say, right off the bat, with a name like that, I'm going, Darth Maul coming in? Question mark? I know I've seen his image, so I know he's in Rebels somewhere. Well, just off the bat, I was clearly very wrong about that. Darth Maul, not in there at all. Well, some cool things off the bat. It was nice to see the new Hammerhead Corvettes just in the fleet. And also, I love the music in here. It's got some good old episode 2 Camino vibes or something going on. Well, anyway, we need a new route into and out of the Lothal sector. And that's our setup for this one. And, well, that means we're going to talk about the Mandalorians. Because even the Empire doesn't want to fight with them, even if they hold Mandalore itself. And so the Protectors. And that's, oh, okay, what's his name from the comics that I read before? So Fen Rao, who went ahead and saved them over in that 3rd Battle of Magito. Gotcha. Oh, that's cool. So nice reference back to the Kanan comics, or maybe the Kanan comics were referencing this. Either way, pretty cool. Well, we're making a debate about diplomacy versus force off the bat, and diplomacy wins the day for the moment. So Sabine and Hera are heading off with Phoenix Squadron to go talk with Fen Rao and our peoples. And, well, Fen Rao right off the bat. Yo, and it doesn't go well right there because Fen Rao is, hey, out here I'm acting in the name of the Empire. And near instant death of a red shirt over as one of our Phoenix Squadron pilots, and another one down right there. Hera makes this opening for others to flee, and, well, she makes it back, although badly injured. And you can see Sabine feels really guilty about all of that, and, feels like she should have stayed behind, even though, of course, she was ordered by Hera to go. Well, the good news out of this is we now know that they've got a base over on the 3rd moon, so it's going to be time to head back into the Concord Dawn system, and we've got a new plan now because, well, diplomacy kind of failed a little bit. So the plan is going to be to infiltrate and destroy their ships. Now, Kanan is insisting on going alone, but with all of them pushing him as much as they do, he relents and he takes Chopper. Not that Chopper's happy about that at all, which is great. But even there, we're not quite done. Because remember, Sabine was feeling pretty guilty. And, well, certainly Sabine's headstrong, that's for sure. So she snuck along, which I love. We even comment here, Kanan was clearly distracted to have missed that one happening. It's like, yeah, clearly Kanan's history of being saved by Fen Rao is at play here. So is he really just going to go destroy ships? Probably not. There's probably a different thing going on there, which is why he wanted to go alone in the first dang place. So yeah, we get over to the moon and Kanan sneaks in to talk with Fen Rao. He introduces himself to Fen Rao and thanks Rao for, well, saving him back in that Battle of Megiddo. Well, the 3rd Battle of Megiddo. And, well, he's offering Fen Rao a chance to save him. Which, by the way, in this whole scene, it's a nice job seeing time wearing on Fen Rao. I get a real feel for his character even in this little bit. So a very nice job, actually. Well, Sabine, meanwhile, was busy setting up the bombs on all the different ships and gets caught out of it and decides to go pull out the code. So she's going to invoke the code to seek justice through single combat. Now, that said, you know who she is? Well, guess what? We find out quite a bit here. She's apparently Clan Ren of House Vizsla. House Vizsla. Well, that's intriguing off the bat. Huh. Okay. Now, the reaction amongst the rest of the Mandalorians here is instantly to call her a traitor and a member of Death Watch. Bit of a different view right there on Death Watch at this point. Yo. And then there's this piece about my mother was, but I'm not. Well, now that makes me instantly curious about her mother, because did we ever see her in Clone Wars? Because I assume she's Prey Vizsla's daughter at this point. That's my guess as to where that's going. Although House Vizsla obviously could have plenty more people than that. Which also, I guess at the same time, that character Mandalorian who we know is from House Vizsla, that wouldn't happen to be somebody like, say, Sabine's brother. If not, probably at least a cousin, right? Oh, wow, the twisted web we weave sometimes. Well, I'm intrigued. Maybe we'll see her mother at some point in here. Maybe we won't. I don't know. Very cool. Well, anyway, meanwhile, Fen Rao is not going along with Kanan because he's not going to fight another losing fight for the Jedi. Been there, done that. Yeah. I kind of love this last line. Kanan tries one last appeal that if we're not together, we're all alone. Whereas Fen Rao says, alone is who we are. Kind of the Mandalorian way in that sense, huh? Yeah. Well, anyway, that breaks down, and well, now remember Sabine got captured, so off we go for that. As Fen Rao says, your house is an enemy to the Protectors. House Vizsla? Yeah, I can see that. Yikes. So it's time for a battle to the death. Whee! And we get this big argument continuing between Sabine and Kanan. Because Kanan, again, is heavily on the diplomacy side here. Sabine, well, we've talked about what side she's on. She also kind of wants a little revenge over what happened to Hera. But really, yeah, they're not going to get too much time to really keep debating this because it's time for the fight. And, I love this fight here. The closer in, the preparation for the duel between the two, those shots are really nice. Now, Sabine wins the quick draw, but she chooses not to kill Fen Rao. Kanan did actually get through her. And then the whole thing turns into this bigger battle because Sabine blows up a bunch of the ships, but not Fen Rao's because she wasn't able to get to it in time. So then we get this piece where Kanan is hanging on to Fen Rao's fighter as it's going up into the atmosphere. And unsurprisingly, Kanan's going to win this one. I mean, lightsaber versus a fighter, yeah, you know. Well, anyway, it's a heck of a fun fight all the way through, and it ends with Kanan capturing Fen Rao. And heck, even Sabine's impressed with how scary Kanan can be sometimes. So we have success. The rebels have safe passage while Fen Rao is a prisoner. Because after all, the Mandalorians, the last thing they want is to let anyone know, because then the Empire comes in and that, oh god, they don't want that. Now, also, Sabine, what an interesting journey for her character in this episode. And we have a beautiful end shot in this episode here when we're talking about Sabine sounding more like a Jedi than a Mandalorian at the end when talking to Hera. Nicely done. This was a great episode. Frankly, I think it was one of the absolute best of the entire show so far. It was a giant Sabine episode, and it also dug more into Kanan as well. There was new Mandalorian lore in here, and just a really well-executed episode that just pulled you in from beginning to end. And may I say, while this is contained enough within itself, clearly this isn't over. And the more I see of Sabine in this, the more intrigued I am to see when she eventually pops up into Mandalorian. And she's going to, right? I mean, I've certainly heard enough speculation, so it's not like she's dead or something, or at least not that anybody knows. So, I'm curious to see when she'll pop up. That could be tons of fun. Maybe season 3. Well, anyway. On to the next episode. Now, although I don't envy any episode having to follow up this one right here. So, episode 14 is Legends of the Lasat. Now, right off the bat, we're in this rescue mission with Ezra taking the lead. Oh, well, that's intriguing. Although it's a very odd setup off the bat, and you're going, what's going on? And then you find out. So first off, well, it looks like it's time for a Zeb episode because these are some of his people. So he's not the only one left. And that's also why Ezra was being really cagey. Well, that and Hondo. Oh, I'm always a fan of Hondo popping up. Love Hondo. Well, we find out some more stuff about Zeb off the bat. Apparently, he used to be Captain Garazeb Aurelius of the Lasat High Honor Guard. Yo, intriguing. So our two new characters right there, we've got Gron, who served under him in the Honor Guard, and also Shava the Wise. And by the way, the fact that he was actually a captain surprised everyone, never told anyone. A little bit of shame sitting in there. But in the meantime, we've got all kinds of stuff there. First, we've got Hondo and Ezra, and oh, they got some fun there. Hondo, does this mean I'm not getting my finder's fee? Ezra, you never were. I'm so proud right now. I've never had a student learn so quickly. Oh, he is. Keep bringing Hondo back in these kind of ways. I love it. Well, anyway, so we get on out of there, and well, they're going to be headed for Lasat, which is a new planet, because Lasat was the planet that they used to be on that got, well, essentially wiped out by the Empire. Eek. And there's gonna be all kinds of stuff, Destiny and Prophecy coming in, but it gets a little messier because we've also got Agent Callus on his way, so he's gonna be going ahead and following them. And well, in the meantime, on their way off the planet, well, Hondo, only too much fun as always. He helps them here, and then he helps the Empire, then he helps them, then he helps the Empire. What else do you expect out of Hondo? Yeah. Now we get this whole little mythology stuff going on, although religion, mythology, destiny, whatever you want to look at it as. So apparently they talk about the Ashla, which apparently is the Force by another name, as far as how they are looking at it. Get this whole little story of the fool, the warrior, and the child, which I tried making some guesses as to where we were going, but I didn't get any of them right, and that's fine. In the end, we even talk about how actually everyone has all three in amongst them, and they take place in different people at different times, so there wasn't a whole lot going on with that, really. But anyway, let's jump into Zeb a little bit more. So his backstory piece, we find out, is that his responsibility, of course, he was captain of the High Honor Guard. So he was protecting the freaking royal palace and, well, as he said, every single Lasat. And they held the palace until the end when a bomb went off, and the next thing he knew, he was being rescued by Kanan, which he didn't think felt very worthy of being a captain after all that. Interesting, by the way, the connection right off the bat between Kanan and Zeb. I'm curious about the timing of that and why Kanan was in a place to rescue Zeb. Will we get some more on that at some point later? I don't know. Or heck, maybe this is even part of that book that comes before Rebels, where we're actually looking at Kanan and Hera. Maybe that rescue is part of that? I don't know. Anyway, interesting stuff. Well, at any rate, we're going to head off to wild space beyond the Outer Rim. And well, anyway, we have a gigantic imploded star cluster in their way. But hey, don't worry, this is the prophesized maze. So they're gonna get to go forward through it, and Zeb using his staff kind of magically, forcibly, I guess, something, the ship, and they hyperspace their way through. So hey, it all works. That's kind of Zeb's turning point about really going ahead and believing, in all of those destinies and mythologies going on in here. Well, anyway, off they go, and they make it unsurprisingly through to Lasat. Now, apparently, that planet, Lasat, is where Zeb's people originally came from, so there are plenty of other Lasat there. And at the end, we get this weird hand-waving comment from Hera about how, hey, now they can travel back and forth to here because they've traveled here and now it's charted. Gotta say, I don't think that's how it works. Because right now your chart goes through a imploded star cluster, so unless you can do that just naturally now, I think you might have some problems, because those gravitational forces aren't going to let you go through it without some special little staff thing going. But whatever, just a hand waving thing, we'll ignore that and move on. So this was a good lore episode for Zeb and his people, getting to really get some more backstory there, getting to know more about that, and also a bit of the mystical force popping in here. Definitely a fun enough episode, although in many ways I kind of hope it's a one-off, as there was a bit too much hand-waving for me in there, and the prophecy stuff felt a little half-baked and a bit cliche in how it was presented, so that was too bad for me, but hey, I still enjoyed it, especially the Zeb backstory, and hey, I mean, there's at least an extra half point for this episode just for Hondo and him being in here, and oh, Hondo being Hondo. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, on to the next episode, and that is going to be episode 15, The Call. Well, it is time to go get some fuel, and this is Clouzon 36, so we're off in an asteroid field, trying to look for this place where the mining guild is doing some refining for the Empire. Apparently it's a really good fuel, which is a nice lore piece. I'm not sure if we've talked about it elsewhere, probably in a book or a comic or something somewhere if I had to make a guess. I don't think we've talked about it in any video medium before. Could be wrong though. And then, hey, we get these cool space whales, or multi-tailed little space whales. I don't know, think something like a squid combined with a whale. I guess they're called purgils. Purgils, cool. And that means we're gonna have more on Ezra and his reaching out to other animals, because we've definitely been pushing that more and more throughout the show. I've got to guess that we're gonna see more later too. And we get this really cool looking yellow TIE fighters. They got 3/4 a wing going on, so their front 2 sections are out. So these are the mining guild fighters. It's nice. And then we get into this interesting argument between Hera and Kanan, because Hera would rather just freaking target those purgil and shoot them, while Kanan, being the Jedi of course, would like to trust them and the Force. Ever popular arguments. But there's a little more to it going on for Hera, talking about how the purgil have gone ahead and caused people she knew to go ahead and die because they wandered to hyperspace lanes and people get killed. So yeah, there's definitely a little bit more going on there for her. Well anyway, trusting the purgil was the right call of course in here. Usually if you're gonna guess trusting the Force, that's usually gonna be the right call if we're talking Rebels or Clone Wars or whatever else, right? So we go ahead and eventually find the refinery, and the purgil are circling up near the refinery. So you're going, what could they be feeding on? They're over a giant lake of unrefined Clouzon 36, which we know is fuel for us in our ships, so apparently the purgil too. And well, the plan is to go down, steal some nice refined fuel, refuel the ship, take some extra while we're at it, and blow up the whole friggin' lake. Well, at least that was the plan, but Ezra takes a bit of an issue with it because he realizes that purgil are actually after the fuel, and well, the plan's gonna go ahead and change. First off though, we get this helmet being given back to Kanan, and I love Sabine and her artwork on this. Oh, that is pretty cool. It's like this white tiger stripe thing going on that helmet. Nice. Always nice. And we also get to see Ezra needing to work on his Force powers in the episode, having some spots where are better or worse. And this is starting to be shown more, I feel like, on Ezra. And that's nice. Even if it's just a tiny piece here and a tiny piece there, it keeps that thread going and shows it. And I appreciate that coming into the show. Well, during the course of this whole battle, they take the landing field, they get the ship in there, but Ezra ends up getting distracted and gets shot at and falls off the edge toward that big pool of fuel. And, well, unsurprisingly, our space whales, our purgil, save the day. Yeah, you can see that coming. By the way, random comment. I must say, blowing up a refinery right over a top of a bunch of volatile fuel, gotta say, yikes, man. That's what they end up doing, but yo. Oh, and by the way, the space whales saved the day too, with Ezra going ahead and having reached out to them and really communicated with them, as you might expect. And hey, then off go the purgil on their journey. So a biological way of going into hyperspace. Has their, well, big migrating space whales, right? Which, by the way, that makes me think of a little bit of the Yuzhong Vong and their living ships. Just definitely I have that connection go through in my head right there. Well, anywho, this was a fun little episode. Nothing stellar, but you know, it definitely was fine. And I like the further development of Ezra, as I said, just in that communication, his Force powers as a whole, and we're definitely going to keep going down that line, I'm sure of that. Okay, let's go to the final episode for this video. This is going to be episode 16, which is Homecoming. So we come in right in the middle of a mission, which ends up being a success, but well, we lose another pilot in the course of it. And actually, we actually got to see her talking right before she died to Hera. And actually, that was nice and unexpected for this show. This show tends to shy away a little bit from that kind of thing. So nice touch right there. We find out that Phoenix Squadron not doing so hot. They're down to half strength because they've lost so many ships and pilots, which actually the pilots are the bigger problem here. And so what does that bring us to? Well, we're going to go ahead and try to steal an Imperial carrier to bring it into the fleet, because if we have an Imperial carrier to be able to take the ships and the fighters, hopefully that means we won't lose as many fighters here and there and everywhere. So off we head to the Ryloth system, because there's an Imperial carrier over that planet that's been being used to just continuously keep bombing Ryloth. So we're gonna steal it and house our fighters in the fleet. And I have to go, Ah, gotcha. So this was the oblique reference to whether I knew Hera's last name. Her father is our freedom fighter from the Clone Wars time period. Good old Syndulla. Right. Oh, okay, got it. Very nice. Okay. I think they might have said the name even somewhere before that here in Rebels, but if so, I did not place that to being Syndulla or our fighter back in Clone Wars. Well, anyway, yeah, no, it's very nice. Well, anyway, we're definitely digging into our characters these past few episodes, so in we go. Now, we're going to see a bit more from Kanan, too, because Kanan, considering his relationship with Hera, surprisingly, he's very much caring about how he looks before seeing Cham. Although there's also the fact that he seems to respect Cham a fair bit, Mr. the Liberator of Ryloth. Heck, Sabine, too, for that matter. I mean, Sabine says she studied his tactics at the Academy. So yeah, definitely how big he is even to some of our other people, other than just, well, his daughter Hera. So yeah, in he comes along with the two other people. We've got Numa and Gobi. So yeah, Twi'leks in this episode. Now, Cham, he wants to blow up that carrier because that'll be a great symbol to everyone of hope and getting to see the giant explosion. And we get a little backstory because, well, after fighting the Separatists, he just started fighting the Empire later when they wouldn't leave. And Hera's mother eventually ended up getting killed, and after that, all that mattered to him is just continuing to fight the Empire. You can see why there was a falling out between him and Hera, so it's why she eventually left. And yeah, oh man. Ooh, we do find out something really intriguing though too, because intriguingly, Hera went ahead and found Chopper back in the Clone Wars as a kid. So a little Chopper backstory in a manner of speaking, very obliquely, but we finally get the connection between Chopper and everyone else. How intriguing. I love it. Just these little pieces in here. Oh, and by the way, the accent coming out of Hera when she's really arguing with her father, nice touch right there. Just how you can drop back into that old accent when you're really emotional or something else like that. Nice. So we'll get this interesting piece out of Kanan a little bit later. Other than having gotten to talk old war stories with Cham, you know, because he heard a lot from Mace Windu and the whole attack being the Hammer of Ryloth and all that jazz. Other than that, we get this interesting piece where he tells Hera how much he sees her father in her. Which, yeah, certainly, but I don't think she's gonna take that too hot right now. Yeah. Well, anyway, on to the plot of the episode. They use a stolen TIE bomber to get onto the carrier, and, well, Cham betrays them and stuns them all because, yeah, he still wants to blow up the bloody ship, even if that was not what was decided. Well, meanwhile, after everybody gets back up and we're going through, we get this really cool section between Ezra and Kanan because they are racing through a section with closing blast doors and Imperial troopers at the far end. And they get this section where Ezra and Kanan are force shoving and force pulling each other in a coordinated way to race through those closing blast doors. And that was really nice. It showed off their practice that they've clearly been doing and how well they're actually syncing and working together now. And that is definitely a far cry from where we were, hell, even at the beginning of the season, let alone during parts of last season. Just those nice little touches that show things like that. Not to mention it's just cool to see that force shoving and force pulling to pull that off. That was just cool altogether. And hey, speaking of them working together and Ezra learning, Kanan lets Ezra give a force suggestion to the captain to evacuate the ship, rather than doing it himself, even though time is what time is at time. Time is what time is at the time. How many times can I say time? Woo! Anyway, yeah, nice. Well, now we also get another big fight between Cham and Hera. Cham went ahead and disabled the hyperdrive, so they're not able to just steal the bloody ship. And meanwhile, a cruiser's on its way. Yay! And yeah, Cham's ticked at Hera too, because after all, she left. And so she hasn't been there while the Empire has been doing their crap over to Ryloth and even selling their people into slavery, amongst other things. But, well, she's eventually able to get through to her father. I gotta say, I think that was far too easily for how much this has been built up. But what can you do in this show sometimes? And I think they just felt they were running out of time and just had to just quickly make it happen. But that's okay. Well, anyway, they go ahead and beat that cruiser, and, well, because they just loaded the TIE bomber with explosives and blow the thing to hell. I gotta say, you guys are fools for letting your cruiser get blown up with that trick, but hey, that's what you do sometimes. So yeah, They got their explosion over Ryloth anyway, so see, Cham's all good. And meanwhile, the fleet has a big ol' new carrier. And clearly we're working our way toward the finale of season 2, which, is it a coincidence we just got a big carrier? I'm betting not. I'm betting it's gonna come into usefulness somehow during the finale. It's just not far enough away for me to assume that that's not gonna go ahead and play some crucial part in the finale. Well, anyway, end of this episode, we get a nice final moment between Hera and her father, and that was nice. And I've got to wonder, are we going to go ahead and see Cham Syndulla again? Or, hey, some more of his compatriots? I don't know. One side of me says this wrapped things up pretty nicely. The other side says, yeah, we've still got 2 seasons plus the rest of this one. We're going to see him at least one more time. I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, it was definitely a good enough episode. It could have been stronger, definitely in some spots, but I love the backstory on Hera that we gained and the relationship between her and her father there. Oh, very, very nice. So yeah, there you go. This was definitely a stronger set of 4 than I think last week's 4 were. And my current favorite episode, surprisingly enough, was among them. I would not have expected that outside of the finales and the opening set of episodes, but this one went ahead and did that. I mean, I really loved that first episode there. Well, anyway, loved how these 4 episodes really were taking a dive more into each of our characters than we've done before, and I'm excited to be heading into the final episodes of season 2 coming up, as I'm expecting really good things based on what everyone's been saying and kind of building them up a bit here. So, hey, that's gonna be great, and I get to hang out with all of you live for the next 3 episodes very quickly. Yes, I mean, not much of a break between this and that, I grant. So Sunday, coming soon. Well, anyway, with that, let me say, well, what about you? So who did you like digging deeper on the most? Sabine and Kanan, Ezra, Zeb, or Hera? Let me know down below in the comments. And let me also take a moment to thank all of my wonderful patrons once more. Thank you so much. Hey, if you're interested in helping support the channel through Patreon, link down below in the description. So definitely I appreciate all my patrons. And to everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, a share, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you back here tomorrow for another new episode of Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the Force be with you always.